But yeah, Avery, thanks for getting on the podcast today. We're excited to learn a little bit more about you and ECI and all the great things that you're doing.
Yeah.
Um, we already hit record, so do you mind just talking a little bit about your journey and your story and how you are where you are right now?
Sure, absolutely. So Avery Moore, third generation insurance agent. And I think like most people, when their family is involved, you swear you're never going to get into it, like swear up and down. And I think I even swore I was going to get out of Oklahoma because I don't know if y'all have ever been here, but it has a stigma of being boring, even though it's pretty great. So I did all those things. I didn't go into insurance out of school, and I went and I moved and lived in Louisville, Kentucky for 3 years. And it was the moment I got out of Oklahoma, it was kind of this oh crap moment. What did I do? I just want to be home. And so worked for 3 years just to get back. And when I got home, I was kind of floundering. My mom was like, why don't you just go work for my buddy, my agent buddy, and just to pay the rent, and then you can figure out what you want to do from there. And I'm like, sure, okay, I'm smart, I'll be fine. And I went and I worked at a bank-owned agency, which is very, very corporate, and works on a lot of large accounts, but has a tons and tons of systems and procedures already in place. And I found myself just falling in love with this gig. I think I loved the aspect of seeing the stupid ways that people make money. Like the way that our clients make money is so creative. And some of them you're like, a kindergartner thought of that. How did I not? And this whole time my family had this agency. My grandpa had opened it in 1964 and basically had gone belly up like 2 or 3 times. And with a little bit of grit and resilience, he had just got himself back up, picked his boots up off the floor, and had restarted the agency over and over. And so officially started it in 1992 for what it was today in the town that we are still in to this day. And his whole philosophy around it was he wanted to be a big fish in a little pond. So at the time that he chose this city, it was like, Grandpa, why would you choose this city? It was Piedmont, Oklahoma. And it was kind of like when we would have to drive out there, like you're only going to Piedmont if you're going to Piedmont. And he started this little scratch agency from basically the remnants of everything he had done before. Yeah. So in 1996, my mom started working there too. She had stayed at home with us. And before that, she had done like political campaigns and rallies. So she had a little bit of that sales mentality already, and basically became a female producer in the early 90s when people weren't doing it. And the funny thing about it is all during high school, I was such a brat, y'all. I don't know if y'all were brats. Such a brat. She would show up to like every single piano recital, every single thing. And I literally, in my head, I was like, she doesn't have a real job. She just does whatever she wants. And I would tell her that all the time. Like on career day, she'd be like, do you want to come work with me? I'm like, no, you don't have a real job. And yeah. And so whenever I got into insurance, I realized what a real job that she had. So it was 2008, and she and my uncle, as my grandpa was looking to retire, basically took over our agency. And then I'd been working at the other insurance place for about 1.5 years, when in 2014, they said, hey, why don't you take everything you know, steal some of their systems and procedures that you've learned, and let's take our agency to the next level. So I went to our family agency, and since then we've doubled it in size, which is a pretty big deal. And my mom left. Yeah, my mom left shortly after, and she's the president of the Big I, Oklahoma. So very incestuous, this insurance thing that we do. And in 2021, our principal, which was my uncle, basically got hit with the worst diagnosis that you can get. And it was that there was cancer, and it had spread all throughout his body. So it was almost a year ago today that he actually passed away from it. It was a 28-day battle. And luckily, years before, I had pushed and pushed and pushed for a buy-sell agreement because I was in the agency and my cousin was in the agency at the time. And we were the third generation of the family. And his famous line was, nothing's ever going to happen to me. Well, whenever we got that diagnosis, to say it was devastating and crippling at the same time. You can imagine if it's your family and your boss and your 32 looking at how do I buy a multi-million-dollar company, you could imagine maybe the thoughts I had going on. But in the end, you want to know what happens. Everything works out that way it's supposed to. So for that buy sell, I had the opportunity to buy our family agency and continue on a legacy. When you're looking at your staff and your team members, one of the things that they say is in a transition, you lose a good majority of it. And I didn't lose any of my team members. I'm fortunate too. I didn't want to lose any of my team members because I have a phenomenal team. And in the middle of this, especially when you're battling on the legal side, and we did that a good portion of last year, you need a team that's going to be behind you and push you up. And I just consider myself so insanely fortunate to have these people behind me. I'll tear up if I even think about it.
That's an amazing story.
Yeah.
So when you say, were you battling to get control of the agency? Is that what you're talking about?
No, not so much control, because the purpose of a buy sell is to say, hey, you have this. Or basically you're given this opportunity. Our buy sell, I'll just be honest, wasn't written very well. There were a lot of technicalities that were not specified in it. If you want to know what not to do in a buy sell, we can have that discussion too. But even the valuation of it, that's what we fought a long time on it, because how we had specified it was just very pie in the sky, high level. And whenever you're discussing basically all this revenue that's coming in, you have to be very, very specific, and ours wasn't specific. And then I had mentioned too that I was supposed to have a partner. Well, he decided that he didn't want to be in insurance. And what does that look like when he has the opt to buy into an agency but wants to get out? And so ended up basically negotiations around a partnership buyout. And then there were other little things in there too. And then his family on top of it. So I learned a lot. Would not go back and do it again. If I knew now, I don't know. It was pretty painful, but I'm still alive, right? Knock on wood.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I
Well,
think
you don't get any snowboarding accidents again, right? At least it was just your arm.
Yeah, thank goodness it was just my arm, but
they have snow in Oklahoma, or did you go somewhere?
we went somewhere. We went to New Mexico. I mean, we have ice right now. So I did like slide down our driveway yesterday, and my husband was like, "You're already broken. Do not do that again."
Oh, that's so great.
That is so funny. So Avery, what are some of the, I think you have an amazing story, and there's so many little lessons here that we can learn from. So would you mind sharing, for the past 2 years, what have been the biggest learning lessons that you can share with, someone that is thinking about taking over an agency or buying out an agency, or, going through the trenches of taking over a team, but, trying to create that new culture? Can you take us through those little lessons?
Oh, man. What a great question, and so many answers. I guess the first thing, and when you go something traumatic as losing someone that you love dearly, but also your mentor in life, basically your partner and everything that you've done, I think you have moments of just gratitude of thank goodness I'm still alive. But the one thing I kept going back to from a business standpoint is I was so grateful I had the hard conversation of having a buy sell. It had started in 2017. And if I'm being really honest, it went really, really bad the first time that I had brought it up. It put him in a place where he felt like I was trying to push him out. That wasn't my intention. And it took 5 years because we didn't sign the buy sell till 2020.
Wow.
And if I had not had that hard conversation, because the end of the day, I have a business coach, and she was the one that actually kept pushing me. At the end of the day, the only person fighting for you is you. And I really want to be a part of my plan instead of someone else's plan. And that's what it came down to whenever I kept pushing that conversation. But it was really, really hard. And so I see a lot of these people. I just spoke at the Young Agent Georgia conference, and a lot of these people in family-owned agencies, the hard conversations are slid under the rug. And my family was no different. There was a lot of things going on that we didn't we didn't like conflict. And why would you? You want to just go about your day and have a good day at work. But because of that hard conversation, I got to carry on this legacy. If I had not had that and I didn't have a buy sell, it would have been sold out from under me, because she could have made, his widow could have made a lot more money, and I wouldn't have faulted her, because we got to take care of ourselves. But that was probably the biggest one. Is I'm so grateful that I grew up in a family that taught me conflict is powerful when used the right way. And I was able to have that conversation. I guess the second one, and it sounds so cheesy and simplistic, but when you're trying to buy or borrow millions of dollars and you've gone to 4 banks and they said no, and then you've gone to 6 banks and they said no, and 7 and 8, it's kind of then that you figure out what you're made of. And I just remember in that moment, there was not a doubt in my mind that I was going to be able to get the money. And I don't know where it came from, but I just kept thinking like, this is my David and Goliath moment. And you know what? David did it. He beat Goliath. So can I. And I kept on saying that over and over. If someone can do this, someone has figured this problem out before me and they figured it out. If one person can do it, so can I. And so I don't know what it is, but we all have that moments every single day. So I think that was the biggest thing. There's no problem in the world that someone hasn't figured out before you. If they can figure it out, so can you.
So powerful. And, you know, the banks just don't understand insurance. They want the collateral, right? And the collateral is the renewing revenue.
Yeah.
But for some reason, they're like, how many trucks do you have? And what can you put up for this?
Well, in ours was set up, which you would understand this. The building was owned in a separate entity. My uncle had owned it, but he had owned it separately. So it wasn't a part of the business. Literally the only tangible assets that I had was like our furniture and computers, which is 70 or 80,000. Like it's not a ton. And so all I have in this, and like you're looking at the valuation of the business and the banks are looking and going, you don't actually have any physical things. And it's just like a knife in the heart every time a bank would say no. You're like, I thought you would understand.
But you got one to listen.
Got it. Right? Yep. Thank
Sheer
goodness.
perseverance, huh?
Actually, I'll thank the Big Eye, Oklahoma. I know it's my family, but she finally called one day and she said, hey, Avery, I'm not calling you as your mom. I'm calling you as the Big Eye CEO. And I said, well, I don't care. You still call me every single day. You're still just my mom. And she basically said, you really.
And then did you say, and you still don't have a real job?
Yeah. And I said, get off the couch and go do. I'm just kidding. You have a real job now. Yeah, now I'm in insurance. She definitely had a real job then. And she basically told me about a program called Insure Bank, and they're specifically just work with insurance agencies. And I called them, and it was suddenly like, this is the thing I was missing the whole entire time. So
that's awesome.
Thank God for that. Yeah.
So listeners out there, call Avery's mom if you need a loan.
Yeah. She'll point you to Insure Bank. Big advocate now too, that they helped out her daughter. So
that's pretty amazing. How about from a cultural standpoint? What challenges did you face there, and how did you overcome them?
Man, okay. So what we figured out is Scott was an incredible leader, and that was my uncle Scott. He was an incredible leader. But I'll say this, his leadership style was very much like 1970s man. And you can do that too. He had the authority, he would say it. And the girls just in a female-based office with like one male in it, it adds a different dynamic. And so they had a ton of respect for him. And he was incredibly generous and gracious and just a wonderful boss. But I'll be honest, the one thing that he really struggled with was hard conversations and conflict.
That's me.
You don't like it either?
I make my wife and Monica do that stuff.
Really?
I'm not good at the hard conversations. They make me have them. I'm like, I have to be a big boy sometimes, but I like to punt and let them handle the hard conversations whenever possible. Yeah.
So
Sarah, Sarah handles all those balls, right, Sarah?
So Avery, I really don't know what my formal title is. And everyone would ask me, what do you do? I'm like, I have no idea. So one day it just came to me. I'm like, I'm the ball handler. I
Yeah.
juggle, bust, and tickle balls all day long.
Including hard conversation.
Is. That's how you feel day after day, especially when you're the person that has to have the conversation. You're like, is all I do is just bust people's balls? Like, can I just be like encouraging? Like,
She's the stiff. We know that a former employee, we checked emails and they would, call Sarah the stiff of the group. I was the cool boss.
yeah,
You
that
know,
must be nice.
The one that would tell me, hey, this needs to happen. Go tell them. I'm like, oh.
but anyway,
Good cop, bad cop. I see. I
Yeah.
see how you do it. Yeah.
back to your uncle, Avery.
No, sorry. He just wouldn't address anything to the point that it had incredibly damaged our culture. Because a lot of our team had seen how other people would get away with it. So we had a team that knew that they couldn't be fired. We had a team that knew that they could come and go as they pleased and there would be no repercussions. And we had a team that basically said you could do a poor job whenever one of our core values is excellence, and there would be no repercussions. And so one of the things that I started adjusting early on was our mind shift around confrontation. So backstory is I grew up in a family with 3 girls. There is not a single thing that you can say to my face that is going to hurt my feelings because they have said every single mean thing possible. And they still do to this day. I think I woke up to a text of like saying how like I looked saggy in the picture. So like, it's fine. There's nothing really. But what I learned with having sisters is that we are so close and the best friends because of all the conflict that we had. And so what we're changing, and we've done a really good job. We actually just did annual reviews, and that was one of the things I asked, is that our mindset around culture is that it's a powerful experience that has the ability to take relationships to the next level. If we truly believe that we're a team, then we want to go to the next level, and by love and with caring and through kindness, we will have the tough conversations to get there. And that's been the biggest thing, because I suddenly had people that were allowed to say something or even come to me and call us out. And you should have seen the first couple of weeks. It was, everyone was scared to say anything. And now we've gotten to a very different point, and the culture is so much better from that. We don't have the girl world in the background. We don't have the backstabbing. I'm sure we still have it a little bit, and maybe I don't hear it, but it's not to the level that it was. I'm passionate about confrontation, if you can't tell.
That's good. That's good. I mean, there is always good results from good conflict, right? Like as far as you're working towards a solution together, not festering on the problem, right? Because I feel that a lot of people just focus on discussing the same problem, but never get to like resolutions. So, and that's a very hard task to do, shifting your culture to have a more positive impact. And most importantly, that they are holding each other accountable. How have you seen the shift on the team, not from you holding them accountable, but them holding themselves accountable to make sure that they are performing to the level you want them to produce?
So I don't know if some agencies are this way, but it seemed like our commercial lines and our personal lines were always in a disconnect. And they would refer stuff back and forth, but it always felt like there was this weird gap in there. And I think there had been, I don't want to say hurt, but some disappointments on both sides with handing clients off and maybe it not getting taken care of the way that they would have. And so you want to know the most interesting part of conflict is that when there's disappointment involved, 9 out of 10 times it's that expectations haven't been met. And part of what we figured out we were missing is that everybody has different expectations for what they expect. And so until you're clear on that, so that's what I asked, I guess, in the beginning, is what we needed from them. And then we set some really, really clear expectations on what that would look like, what we expect from the person we're handing it off to. And then the meeting, basically, we set rules that, hey, if someone doesn't meet your expectations, how do you want it to be handled? And we all agreed that they would handle it one-on-one, that it wouldn't be, we're going to come cry to the CFO or Avery or anything like that. And that's what's ended up happening. So if someone drops the ball or it's disappointing, then in a respectful way, in a kind way, we've all decided how we want to be individually addressed. So like some people will say, please pull me aside privately. Some people have said, hey, you can say it in front of everyone, I don't care. And they'll go and address it personally. And that's been crazy because I watched it happen like in person, and I was sitting there like, they didn't even come and tell me. I didn't even know this was
It's
going on.
huge. Resolving problems, conflicts on their own. You are a great leader and boss, Avery, and you mentioned excellence is one of your core values. First of all, I'd like to know what all your core values are. And also, do you do the Traction EOS system in your agency?
No, what is that?
Entrepreneurial operating system. I'm surprised you don't know. A lot of people are going through it, but it certainly sounds like you do something similar to that. It's weekly meetings, holding people accountable. Monica could do a better job explaining it than me. But
I do too, though. So far, Monica, what are the other ones?
No, it is all you said you have a business coach, and probably because you have the business coach, it's so similar, and it sounds like you are doing like EOS. So it's like having a business coach. It's based on, you know, how right now it's a hype on our industry about reading traction and all these systems that are helping others, you know, create accountability, create, you know, just systematics within the agency because they have not been there. But I think it sounds very similar because you do have a business coach, and that's basically what they do.
Okay.
They just hold you accountable to make sure that you are putting all these things in order so you can focus yourself to work more on, not in. So it's kind of, it sounds very similar, but I think it's because you do have a business coach working on your side.
Okay. Yeah, because I would, without Katie, maybe I don't know if I would be this put together.
oh yeah, you are
Thank you,
certainly.
Katie.
That's impressive.
Thank you, Katie.
So other than excellence, what are your core values at ECI?
Yeah, it's really interesting you asked that. So one of the things that we're working on is redoing all that, because in our handbook and everything, it was all Scots. And if I'm being honest, the thing they don't tell you about grief is sometimes you mourn having to change all those things. And so that's one of the things that we're working on. So one of them we know is excellence. The second one that we know for sure is going the second mile. And that just means from a personal experience, we're going to treat others how they want to be treated, not how you want to be treated. And then the third one, basically, we're trying to establish what that means for us too, because Scots were very generic and high level, and we want very tailored ones. So the third one, I will let you know soon as we're diving into it. But those are the first two.
I love it. I like the second mile, because I always thought treat others how you want to be treated, but you're going like next level and treat others how they want to be treated.
Mm-hmm.
Do you mind diving into that a little bit, Avery?
No, I think it goes back into expectation. So I'll use, tons of us are married, and it's probably the most conflicting relationship that we all have in our lives because you live with the person and everything. And so I'll use our marriage as an example. Very early on, I had a dad that built our house basically from the ground up and did everything for us. So he would fill up our gas on days. And so going into our marriage, that was my expectation of what the man of the house was.
Hey, cars, gas tank's empty.
Yeah.
What's going on here?
Yeah, what is going on here? And like, I would ask to like hang a mirror, and he would be like, well, I need your help. I'm like, I don't help on things like that. Like, I just stand here and watch it happen. And my expectations obviously were very different than my husband's, and it ended up causing tension. Obviously it's been almost 10 years, so we're still going good, but our customers are no different. If they've had a really great experience from an insurance perspective, and even our employees, if they've gone from an employer and they expect normal to do this. So like one of our employees is a government employee. So she expects President's Day, she'll be like, "Are we going to take off?" I'm like, "No, you've been here like 8 years. We're still not taking off." And then like snow days, like some of them, depending on their employers, have that expectation. And so that's what we mean is part of it is figuring out what the other people's expectations are and then treating them that way.
That's brilliant. I love it. And I know, Avery, you've recently added a new person to your team.
Yeah, Rita.
Rita, yeah. And do you mind talking a little bit about her and how she's helped ECI and what her roles and tasks are in the agency?
So I don't know if y'all even know this. Rita was like my first big, I had rocked the boat, obviously, but when adding a team member was one of the first things I was doing that was rocking the boat. And so I had been thinking on all this, but we had to wait till all the legal stuff was completely done. And it ended up being done right the 1st of August. And I had been planning for a virtual professional. And so it took forever to get there. And so I knew I wanted to do it. But my biggest fear was, how is my team going to react? Are they going to think that their jobs are going to be replaced? What is going through their head? And so I had a lot of head trash going into it. But I felt very strongly that I could help my team excel by taking some of the processing and daily tasks that eat up their time and give it to someone, a virtual professional, and let them do the thing that they're best. And the thing that they're best at is building relationships with our customers. And so I started seeking them out, and Monica's name just kept coming up. And I'm in a lot of female groups because there's not a ton of female agency owners. And they kept saying, "Have you met Monica? Have you met Monica?" Like, well, no. And then in like a weird God thing, we got put into a women's group together.
Divine intervention. What will be. So anyway, I started talking, and I looked at a couple different ones. And so we ended up going forward with Savvital, and we got to interview 3 people. And the moment that Rita came on and we had asked her a couple of questions, my CFO and I were texting and was like, she's a person. Like, You could just tell.
And we knew pretty fast. I think we told y'all within a day. And that was the beginning of October, I believe. And since then, we have not looked back. The thing that I love and I did not expect was the culture impact that Rita would bring to our team. I had zero expectations for that. Like, I had someone, they're going to take work off my team. Our in-office culture is going to be better. But the culture overall that she's brought is just amazing. She wants to be a part of the team every single morning. We're literally getting like a GIF or a GIF, whatever bucket you fall into on that. And is such a light. Like, she wants to get to know our team. She texts them all the time. When we hear something's happening in Pakistan, we're going, "Rita, what's going on over there?" Or especially the cultural differences. She's been so great about bringing it into us. One day we did Indian food, and I was like, "Help me pick this out." And I chose like the most authentic Pakistani and Indian place. And she was like, "Choose this, 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 and this." And
Really?
this is good for us. Yeah.
Oh, that is so amazing.
Yeah. She's amazing.
Well, what I'd like to say, Avery, is you, and this says a lot about you too, have gone above and beyond with her. You got her a pretty cool Christmas gift that I heard about, and that obviously goes a long way, and that goes out to all the people out there using virtual professionals. Treat them like you're an employee, right? Send them a gift, and I think it was some headphones or some really cool things. You sent her a care package, and that was just amazing to see. And I know that just made her day and made some of the other VPs like, "Hey, where's mine for my clients?" So, but that just says a lot about you and how you do things and how culture is so important for your organization.
Well,
Leadership.
just appreciation for your employees. And I've been an employee. We've all been an employee at some point. You just want to feel appreciated too. But Rita, man, she's amazing. She is smart as a whip. We throw things at her all the time and she just jumps in. So it's awesome. It has gone over and above what I ever expected. My team feels like they can actually do their job right now. And y'all are not even paying me to say this. Like, I think I pay y'all. It's just, she's amazing. It's completely changed how we get to do things. And it's given my team a breath where they can go back and actually do their jobs instead of just the processing grunt work.
Oh, that is so great to hear, Avery. What are some of the tasks she does? And we only have a few minutes left, but do you mind kind of diving into some of the stuff she does for the team specifically?
Nope. For us personally, she does a lot of the personal lines X states. So what that means for us is going into tons and tons and tons of activities and verifying if payment has been received. If it hasn't been received, shooting a note to the CSR so that they can get with the client, and that's on renewals. She's going in and she's processing all personal line policies. So that means it could be direct bill or agency bill, non-downloadable or downloadable. So she's making sure that all the important coverages are in there and verifying contact information is up to date. We switched her over and she's now doing commercial lines processing. So because it's so complicated and completely different product, I thought it was going to be kind of hard to teach her that, but she jumped right in. So she does all of the processing for new and renewal policies, and then we'll email it out to the customer for us. And then she does our blogs and she does our Google My Page too.
Yes, that's awesome.
Yep.
Does she like request reviews or answer the reviews, or how does she do the Google My Business?
She'll go in whenever she's doing blogs, and then I have a marketing person actually in office, and she'll go make sure it's on all of the pages. So she's managing it from a content perspective. Perfect. Not necessarily the reviews. We use Rocket Referral, so some of that is automated for us, but
okay. Yeah. Excellent.
That's pretty amazing. Well, I am grateful we got to connect. I mean, I love and shout out to, Sarah, the Big I, because they have an amazing group of women. And I think, sometimes we think that these groups are overrated, but the relationships that can come from it and the things that you learn, because we all share amazing, best practices, best whatever. And she does an exceptional job. So I'm really grateful for all the support that she provides all of us, because, it's refreshing every single time that you attend the session and then walk out with something new that you didn't know, or something that you needed to be reminded of. So I think, Avery, your success, it's due to the leadership that you not only have learned, but the leadership that you're implementing, and how you're able to provide everyone with an open door, while consistently holding everyone accountable and building what you want for the future. So kudos to you for, being an excellent leader. You can
Absolutely.
tell we look up to you. Even though, we're kind of like the young breed here on at the industry, but we're making good strides, I guess.
Oh, heck yeah.
I feel like we're like the perfect age too. They needed forward thinkers. They need people that were ready to do new things, and that's y'all. Like, creating the service has done that exactly too. A niche that needed to be fixed within our industry. So props to y'all for thinking and coming up with such a great company.
Thank you so much, Avery. You're the best. We appreciate
Well,
you. And
yeah. Thank you for being here. And I look forward, and we look forward to continue working with you. And let's get together soon again so we can record a part 2.
I'm here anytime. You just let me know.
big goals, Avery. I bet you're going to double again in a few years, right?
That's the goal, right?
Let's go. Keep growing.
Yeah.
Avery, real quick, going back to your husband and your expectations. So I got to tell you a quick story about when Troy and I moved in together and I saw his toolbox. Do you want to know what was in his toolbox?
What was it?
It was like a Def Leppard CD, Axe body spray, like a workout watch, and maybe one screwdriver or like a hammer. I don't know. I'm like, oh my God.
You just need a hammer, right?
Oh, the whole world is his nail.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I feel so hard on that now. Now he, like, my dad has set him up. He has full tools, but
that's amazing. Love it. Well, Avery, have an amazing today, and thank you for being here.
Yep.
Thanks, Monica. Thank you, Troy. Thank you, Sarah. I'll talk to you
Thanks,
all
Avery.
later.
All
Take care,
righty.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.